Every video talking about H.P. Lovecraft mainly goes one of two ways. I narrated this story from my ancient crypt. Or, here's this man's entire life story. Well, I'm here to introduce you to a third genre of video. I like to read, but I don't have an English degree, so this might get a tad bit weird. I'm Hex the Alchemist, and welcome to the library. Today, we'll be talking about Pickman's model. No, not the Fallout 4 quest, but it's arguably just as creepy. Quick aside, I attempted to read this out loud in a recording, but we've had, I swear I speak English, surmised, big words here today, oh no, H.P. Lovecraft and foreigners. It's H.P. Lovecraft, so it went about as well as you'd expect. Maybe one day I'll actually read or post an official Hex the Alchemist reads or something, but for now I'd 100% recommend the YouTube channel Horror Babble if you're not interested in buying or checking out a book just for a short story. But I'm going to start out with a short summary / synopsis, and then I'm going to share some of my thoughts about the story, so you're very able to click off this video if that's not something you're interested in. The short story opens as our narrator, a middle-aged man named Thurbin, begins speaking to someone by the name of Elliot. I believe that they're at a bar or something. They mention ordering drinks at one point, and later they mention ordering coffee, so I'm assuming this is a very all-inclusive bar / cafe. They even mention a chandelier. I've never been inside of a bar, so I can't say whether or not bars have chandeliers. Might have to ask somebody. Who knows? So the main center of this story is a man named Richard Upton Pickman. And Pickman is a painter that the narrator really admires, even going so far as to openly admitting to hero worshipping the guy. And Pickman is arguably really good at what he does. He's actually part of a very large art club within the city, and he paints a lot of really cool, realistic stuff. There's only one tiny itty-bitty problem. Pickman only paints monsters. Deformed, snarling, unholy monsters. Pictures of evil. Pickman's colleagues actually have begun dropping him faster than a hot potato left and right. One colleague even mentioned that he was, and I'm paraphrasing here, a really strange dude who's probably engaging in reverse evolution of the human soul. Again, I'm paraphrasing because this is H.P. Lovecraft and he's got a roundabout way of going about things. But yeah, people don't like Pickman. They think he's weird, they think he's strange, and he's painting all these really macabre, really monstrous stuff. And they're all incredibly realistic, so it's even more that unnerving. But Thurbin decides to ignore all of those red flags and spend as much time with the man as possible. You see, Thurbin is conducting a study of some kind, like a study about strange art. And Pickman is giving him a lot, and I mean a lot of information. That, paired with the fact that everyone is leaving Pickman's life, eventually he confides in Thurbin. He invites Thurbin to his secret workshop, where some of the stronger stuff is located. As in, I hope you're not squeamish and you know how to keep your mouth shut stronger. And Thurbin, a middle-aged man undoubtedly going through a midlife crisis, agrees nearly instantly. He tells Elliot that he's a grown man and he's not very weak of will, so he decides everything's going to be absolutely fine. And in the middle of the night, Thurbin and Pickman travel along alleyways, and I'm not kidding, they go into alleyways. Travel along alleyways, and they come upon this dilapidated, weird-looking house in a really strange part of town. And this is Pickman's house. technically speaking, it's his workshop. But Thurbin screams. Just everywhere strewn about the room are just a bunch of even worse artwork. Keep in mind, everybody's already dropping him because his artwork is horrible, and now he's gotten even more monstrous with this next batch that are just in his house, around on his walls, as casually as one would a family portrait. They're just there. And Pickman's like, well, this isn't the only room of creepy paintings that I have. And Thurbin, seeing no issue with this, is like, sure, show me the rest. Enters into the next room, and instead of, in the past, it was like past stuff, it was like the Puritans and the Founding Fathers kind of era. The next room has modern day, like subway, graveyard, gas station, that sort of thing. And Thurbin continues on with the tour to this man's basement. Thurbin goes into the man's basement, and I'm judging him here. Thurbin goes into the basement, and inside of that basement, there is a massive well. It's old, it's decrepit, much like everything else in that house. And it's got this massive slab of wood covering the top. Think like Samara. Or think Annabelle. You know, that kind of well. That it will take probably multiple people or one really determined woman to close that lid. Keep that lid in mind. It's going to be very important later. Thurbin sees no issue with this. None at all. He sees no issue with the fact that Pickman specifies that he paints in the basement, specifically where he gets his ideas for his monstrosities. And previously, he had shown a bunch of pictures depicting creepy little gremlin monsters ready to attack people waiting in the basement. You know how every good horror movie has something really weird happening in the basement? Thurbin sees no issue and walks right on down those stairs. He's such a great dude, isn't he? Anyways, eventually, Pickman divulges that he takes pictures, photographs of different various backgrounds so he can use them as reference. Because you don't really want to be carting out your whole easel and your canvas and your paint. Because who knows, maybe the weather might be bad, or it might draw too much unwanted attention. Because, I mean, no one really likes his artwork anyways. No one buys it. And then, he shows him his final masterpiece. Pickman reveals this portrait, and the narrator openly admits to screaming. Because this painting is so realistic. It is so strange. It is so unholy. A picture of pure evil. And as he does so, Pickman tenses and waits. The narrator, however, pays no mind to Pickman. Pickman's a weird guy already. And notices something's pinned up to the canvas. It's with like a thumbtack or something. And the narrator reaches out to grab it, to unfurl it, because he's like, oh, this is a background. I want to know what kind of background this thing is going to get. Very quickly, Pickman kind of grabs him, and the narrator begins to listen like Pickman's listening, and he swears he hears scraping and rustling and squeaking and goats bleating somehow, and it seems to be coming from the well. And Pickman takes out a revolver, kind of just nudges Thurbin outside, and is like, hold on a minute. Shuts the door, fires off all 6 rounds from that revolver in quick succession, and then eventually, silence. However, there is one main issue that I did not put, is that the narrator hears thump, thump, like something is pounding against wood, or wood is pounding against brick, and then a loud clang, as in the wood has fallen significantly further. What does that make you think of? Context clues. There's a giant wooden slate over the well. Something just shoved it up and off. Pickman immediately fires 6 shots. Bang, 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 and then silence. Eventually, the narrator can hear the scrape of wood against brick once more as the slate is put back on, and Pickman gives the all clear. And Thurbin, at this point, finally, is so shaken up, he leaves. Finally. So he walks out and finds something in his pocket the next day. You see, when Thurbin was reaching for that, for the photo to unfurl it, on instinct, when he was grabbed by Pickman, he grabbed the photo, like yanked it, and stuffed it in his pocket. So Pickman doesn't know this, and Thurbin's like, oh, I'll just look at the photo, and then I will return it back and everything will be fine. No, everything was not fine. Because that picture, that wasn't just a picture of the background. That was a picture of the monsters. The monsters. And do you want to know the background of that monster? It was the same dilapidated wall. The same dilapidated wall that portrait hung from. The same cellar that Pickman took his fanciful art student into was the same cellar. So Thurbin burns the picture and decides, I will never speak to Pickman again. I will never go to the police because I'm not going to take them back to that cellar. I am going to put this all behind me. And that's it. The story ends. So my first reaction of this story is, one, it's a wonderful read if you're really into the horror genre, just because it has a great build-up and a great execution, despite it being only like 11 pages long. However, I'm sure that's not why you're still listening to this video. In my honest opinion, Thurbin is so incredibly stupid. I know I have probably mentioned that like 800 times in my summary, but I understand that in every horror genre, or not every horror genre, every horror like movie or book, every horror protagonist has to be a tad bit less thoughtful than your everyday human being. Because you need a reason for why that protagonist got into that situation in the first place. It's very rare that you see a horror movie cold open with, here's the dude, he's in danger, have a great day. Most of the time, there's a scene or two of build-up of, this is who they are. This is like the little tiny mistakes they made and why they're in this position in the first place. But Thurbin's age and IQ might just be the same number. When the one man who draws creepy monstrosities invites you to his decaying house, which is filled with even creepier drawings, mind you, and then invites you into his basement, you do not say yes! Especially not if this creepy basement has a well that Samara could have crawled out of in the text, and I would not have batted an eye. Well, to be fair, his name is Thurbin. Maybe that's a sign his parents didn't love him enough to teach him survival skills. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just thinking far too into this story and this text is absolutely boring. Who knows? I don't have an English degree. Fair warning though, it is a bit dialogue heavy. Like, I'm not kidding. The Pickman, the main technical antagonist of the story, Pickman, he has like a multiple page evil villain monologue. It's like one of the longest evil villain monologues I've ever read. I like flipped a page, flipped a page, flipped a page, and I was like, how long does this guy talk? Because it's like a third of the story. But at the end of the day, it's kind of nice to like see where Pickman is coming from, to see what his thought process is. And it does a really good job of helping build up the story and build up the ante. Because it starts off with, this guy's weird. Okay. And then you follow deeper and deeper and deeper into the madness with this, like, spiraling monologue. And then you see the effects of that. So for me, overall, I think if this was like a movie or a film, I'd watch it. But overall, I'd rate this like, I'd say an 8 spooky bones out of 10. Because at the end of the day, it is a great story. It is a tad bit dialogue heavy for my taste, which is why I'm knocking off some points. And for me personally, I could not ignore that Thurbin was ignoring every red flag. So it kind of took me out of the moment a little bit. However, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me at this little library here. To my knowledge, this image is free use. If it's not, I will adjust this video. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Don't be Thurbin. Stay safe.